And good Thursday morning, or of course, as we like to think of it, Friday Eve. We're at 4 minutes past 10 o'clock, already up to 77 degrees, and it's going to be a little toasty out there before we get some more thunderheads cooked up. We'll tell you more about weather coming up here in just a little bit. In the meantime, this morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, well, we have folks from the Humane Society of Central Arizona and their thrift store here in Payson, Lucy and Nicole, with us this morning. How you all doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm probably better than I, really should expect, but I can't complain. Enough
It's
coffee.
Thursday Eve.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We're getting slowly through the week here. So first of all, when it comes to the Humane Society, it seems like everybody has been impacted by the wildfires recently, and let's start off by talking about that. There was an awful lot of people that were evacuated out of Pine and Strawberry that came down here with dogs, cats, horses, and even a rabbit.
Yes, even a rabbit.
Wow. And so about how many animals did the Humane Society help take care of?
I want to say we took in about 60 to 70 dogs and cats, and then
Wow.
the one rabbit.
Wow.
And then we also had AZ Humane come up with their emergency response team, and
Right.
they were able to take in about 29 dogs and cats for us as well.
Wow.
Yes.
That's got to be, a sudden surge like that has got to really kind of push you to your limits, I would think.
We were pretty close to full capacity.
Right.
We were trying to make any room we could. We even took our adoptable cats out of our cat houses and we transported them over to PetSmart.
Should we call them cat houses? Is that okay?
Yes, cat houses.
Anyway, okay. So that's pretty amazing. How many cats?
That we got in from the evacuation,
Yeah.
or I want to say we probably took in about 40 cats.
Now, and I know that cats, especially when they're brought into the Humane Society where there's all kinds of other critters around, that can be pretty, I guess, traumatizing might be a
Yes.
word. Certainly a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, very high stress.
And I'm sure it is with other dogs too that are brought in for the first time.
Yes.
So, all of a sudden you have this big influx of population that isn't really sure they want to be there or what's going on. That's got to keep you hopping.
It does. Luckily, we have a small cat house area. It's our cat isolation area that we have had all of the evacuated cats in, so that way they're all in their own little private room, and they're farther away from the dogs, so they don't have to hear them barking throughout the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
I think that's got to be fascinating. Now, how about the horses? They were brought in and kept out at the multi-event center, right?
Yes, I believe they were taken out there.
And who was kind of helping head that up? Do we know?
I want to say, I think it was Courtney with...
Oh, Courtney Spahn with
Yes.
Parks and Rec.
Yes, I
helping
believe
to coordinate
so.
that. Wow, that what a neat way for the community to come together. But it all
Amazing.
It had to push you to your limits. Now, do you still have some dogs and cats from the evacuation still at the shelter?
Yes, we still have a couple dogs, and I want to say we have a few cats left that we're still waiting to get picked up.
So come get your animals, please.
Yeah, come on. And you actually also had to house a rabbit for a while.
Yes, we still have the rabbit.
Now, you still have the rabbit.
We still have
So
the
in and
rabbit.
amongst all the dogs and cats and people, rabbit's got to feel kind of maybe a little out of place.
Yes, so luckily we put the rabbit up front in our lobby where it's a lot
okay.
more quiet in his own little enclosure.
Right.
And that way he's up in the air conditioning. And luckily Delphia donated a bunch of rabbit feed for us as well. So he was very happy with that. Thank you, Delphia.
And that brings
She's
up the
wonderful.
next thing is you did get a lot of food donated for this cause as well.
Yes, we have had an incredible amount of the community members come together, and they've brought us dog food, cat litter, and we cannot thank you guys enough for helping out in this time. And now we would love to give back to the community, and anybody that's in need of dog or cat food or cat litter, please stop by the shelter on the west side of our building, and we have as much food available that you may need.
Wow, that's a lot then.
Yes, we have a lot.
So, and I know before going on the air today, you mentioned that you have a storage container full of food that you normally have, the
Yes.
specific kind that you get for the dogs and cats at the Humane Society, plus
Correct.
a whole bunch more now that needs to be gotten rid of, especially with lousy weather coming in.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so we just don't want any of the food to sit out in the rain, and we just want people to be able to use it for their pets if they're in absolute need.
Outstanding. Now, neat that the community would want to, donate food and stuff. Now, did they come in with cash donations, or did they just come in with bags of food, or?
We were getting monetary donations and food donations,
Wow.
disposable litter boxes. We had bedding donated to us, and they were even providing food for the staff, which I know the staff was really appreciative.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't bring any food by the radio station. Anyway, just kidding. The other thing that I think is it's always amazing to talk about, and that is that when it comes to the financial support for the Humane Society of Central Arizona, the thrift store down here on Main Street provides a whole huge chunk of that on an annual basis. I mean,
Yes.
surprisingly.
True.
And the monthly budget numbers for the Humane Society are a little overwhelming. I didn't
Yes.
realize it was so expensive.
We're 60,000 a month,
60 grand a month just to keep the Humane Society
just to
running.
keep it running. Yes.
And a big part of the support for that is the thrift store.
The
So
thrift store.
as always, you have all kinds of new stuff coming in and
All
out.
kinds of new stuff. And speaking of the evacuating ordeal, a lot of people stepped up with us as well. Naturally, they always step up with donating stuff, but I've had quite a few people come in and donate money that we set aside for evacuees. So like if they were out of town or whatever when this all occurred, since it happened so fast,
Right.
a lot of people only had what was the shirt on their back. You know
Right.
what I mean? So we had a nice little collection from the community that when they'd come in, somebody that was in need, we had that money set aside, and I would
Wow.
tell them get what you need, and they really helped out that way as well.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, and what
Yes.
a perfect way to help.
Absolutely.
People can
Absolutely.
get exactly what they need and all that. And has with all of the the things that we've been going through recently with the wildfires and everything, has that changed the traffic in and out of the thrift store on Main Street?
No, actually, since a lot of the evacuees were in Payson, we were busier than normal.
Right. Oh, that's-
Which I'm not sure what normal is anymore,
yeah, I was
but
gonna say whatever. normal is.
it's just been amazing. The community's amazing. They really help us out in all aspects as far as donations and donating and just shopping. People seem to love us and we love them.
There you go. And you get all kinds of stuff in all the time.
I get all kinds of stuff.
If we,
And don't you dare ask.
and they really do. That's for a whole other radio
That's
show.
a
right
whole
there.
other radio station.
But some pretty interesting stories. You ought to stop down to the Humane Society thrift store just to ask that question. But all kidding aside, if you were there a couple of weeks ago, you need to stop back again because you got new stuff. You got new stuff coming in all the time.
We have customers that come sometimes on a daily basis, but because
Just
it
to
changes.
see what the new stuff is.
So yeah,
Wow.
every day is a different day, and we get so many things and new stuff. So even if they don't come every day, they come multiple times a week
Oh, very interesting.
because that's how much it flows and how much we go through stuff.
And there's sometimes where there's stuff that's dropped off that you don't really need or want, and then what happens to that?
Well, that's what a dumpster's for.
Ah,
No, we also have a recycling program for clothes now, because we get an overabundance of clothes,
Mhm.
and you just can't keep them all. So, we do try to help out whenever the warming center's up, and we reach out other alternatives first,
sure.
and then now we're able to recycle like any type of material, shoes, that kind of stuff, and they come and they pick it up, and we get paid for it.
Right.
So they'll pay it by the weight, and then
Nice.
we're
That
able
seems
to,
like a win-win.
right, yeah, that way we don't have to fill the landfills,
There
and they
you go.
recycle it for whatever else material, housing material, insulation, whatever they do with it.
Right. And it's again the level of expense that it takes to operate the Humane Society of Central Arizona here. I guess when you look at it from the standpoint of if a stray dog is brought in,
Yes.
what's the protocol from the time it's brought in? You have a veterinarian looks at it?
Yes, so usually if a stray dog's brought in, we hold them for 3 days to make sure, just to wait if an owner comes forward. After that, we evaluate them medically, do an intake on them, so we vaccinate them, deworm them, and then if, no one still comes at that point, we get them on for surgery and they get spayed or neutered, rabies vaccinated, and microchipped.
Wow.
Yes.
And so, if you were just going to you know, if you had a new puppy and you were going to go do all of those things, I mean, you're talking, you know, the average Joe out there would be spending hundreds of dollars to have that done.
Correct.
Hundreds, yes.
Hundreds,
Yeah.
$500+.
Yeah. So it all comes back to the thrift store down on Main Street. Pretty darn important.
Lots of stuff.
That's right. Get on down there and buy some stuff today, and you'll be helping out a good cause.
Yes.
Now, what's the typical number of dogs and cats at the shelter this time of year? I mean, roughly. You know.
Now that we're kind of almost getting out of kitten season, but on average we can have anywhere from 30 to 50 cats, including kittens,
Wow.
and we can have anywhere from 20 to 50 dogs. Yes.
They have a full cat house.
Yes.
And with the dogs, so how many people? How many staff does it take? And I know you have volunteers, but I'm
Yes.
talking to begin with just about paid staff. How many staff does it take to you know keep this thing rolling?
We have 12 paid staff members, and currently we have 2 staff members that run our large dog area, 1 that runs our smaller dog area, and we have 1 person that runs our cats
Mhm.
on a daily basis.
Wow.
And then we also have someone in medical, and then we have a behavior team as well.
Now, so you don't have a staff veterinarian that's farmed out?
She's not there every day, but she usually comes every Thursday, and so that way we can get spays and neuters, and she can do any exams on animals that we have.
Wow.
Otherwise, we do outsource to other veterinarians around town, like Peace and Pet Care, Star Valley, Main Street, anything like that.
So now what about, I'm just curious, when it comes to behavioral problems with some of the animals that are brought in, I mean, that's got to be an interesting challenge at times.
Some of them can be very challenging, but luckily our behavior team, they go to behavior trainings, so that way they can learn the proper ways and techniques to handle these dogs and hopefully get them more trainable where they can be adoptable.
Have you seen many instances like that where something comes in and it's like, holy moly, this dog is nasty?
Yes.
And are cats trainable?
Yeah, they train you.
Yeah.
Ain't that always the case? Yeah.
Yes.
But so, I mean, have you had instances where, you know, an animal's brought in that's just, you know, got terrible behavior problems and they're able to actually turn it around over how long?
I want to say it takes anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 months.
Wow.
So we do hold on to the animals and we do work with them the best that we can, just so that way every animal's getting a chance when they walk through our doors.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And you know, and I've joked about it before with folks from the Humane Society, but it was so much fun. I'll do it again. Here a couple of years ago, I got a feral cat because down where we're at, you know, got multiple acres and we, you know, little rodents running around and seemed like, all right, just give me a nasty cat that I can put some food out and it wants to eat rodents and life will be good. Well, when I came to pick the cat up, they put it in a cage in one of these little transport carriers with significant trepidation, saying, you know, this is a nasty cat. When you get it down there, open it up and kind of stand back and,
Yes.
and you know, this is a bad cat. And I'm thinking, sounds like exactly what I need. And so I open it up and it runs underneath this shed that we have. And I thought, great, now we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
Life was good. Well, within about 2 to 3 days, as I would sit on the veranda in the evening watching the sunset, this cat was up on my lap purring, and it was amazing how, you know, I guess maybe the cat was just traumatized by all these other animals at the Humane Society that it
Very
wasn't
well could
used
have
to,
been.
and may have been considered to be a nasty cat, but actually it was really in the right kind of place. It was very mellow. And
You
nice.
never see the true personality of an animal when they're in the shelter.
Yeah.
People don't seem to realize that. You know, and your very well behaved trained dog may not necessarily, you know, act that way there. Especially, you know, I had my past life in Ohio with Humane Society, so I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like people that want to find strays, but you know that dog wasn't a stray.
Right.
You just want to get rid of this dog and don't want to be that person.
Right.
You know, that traumatizes an animal, you know.
Got you.
So there's times when, you know, I've dealt with animals that you couldn't even approach for weeks
Yes.
because they're so traumatized over what happened. And once you finally break that gap and get to that dog, you find out that Fluffy's like the best, sweetest trained, you know, well-trained dog. But
Right.
they have to, they are traumatized when they come in, you know, and people just think, oh, you know, when they see you don't ever see their true personality in the shelter. It takes weeks, sometimes months once you get them home.
You know, I think
I got one of them right now.
I think this is pretty amazing though, because, you know, really, you know, those of us who've been around too darn long, you know, it used to be that the dog pound, you know, that's where
Right.
stray dogs were taken and put down, and that was it.
And that's a horrible word, dog pound. We don't
Yeah,
say that
I know.
anymore.
But now they go to the Humane Society.
Humane Society,
And,
shelter.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, it's more than just talk. I mean, you're actually taking dogs that have significant behavioral issues that I think not that long ago people would have said, oh, okay, that one needs to go away.
Yeah.
But you're taking the time, months at a time, to change these behavioral patterns so that it can be adopted out.
Yes.
I mean, that's huge.
Come a long way.
That's huge.
A long way.
What percentage roughly of the budget of the Humane Society comes to you strictly as donations? Any clue?
That I honestly don't know.
But I mean, you know, obviously with you've got a big chunk coming from the
resale
the
store.
resale store, but that was still only a percentage of it.
Right.
So
I mean, pretty much other than what we get from the town,
It's
everything else is donations.
Donations, grants.
You know.
We're constantly having to apply for grants.
That's why we have events, we have, you know,
Well, I mean,
We're always
what a
trying to
great
raise
service that you do. I mean, this obviously is a very worthwhile endeavor that I think, you know, people start to realize what all you're doing to try.
yeah, we're not doing it for our sports cars.
Yeah. Yeah. That explains why you didn't show up in the Ferrari today.
Right.
But I mean, you know, really, I mean, what an amazing nonprofit and doing. I mean, not just talking about, you know, taking care of animals, but I mean, really
We actually
doing
do
the
it.
job. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's cool. So now we talked about how many employees, paid employees you have, but that doesn't count. You also have a bunch of people that come down and volunteer to walk animals and
Yes.
stuff like that too,
Yes, we have a ton of volunteers right now, and we're
Right.
very thankful for them.
right? And do they, when it comes to someone who might be listening, thinking, hey, that might be kind of a fun thing, what kind of things do volunteers do?
They can do dog walking, cat socializing. They help the staff with dishes, laundry, taking out the trash, filling water buckets, even helping clean some kennels.
So if you've been thinking about, you know, I'd like to go hang out at a cat house all day, here's your opportunity to do so and not get in trouble in the process.
Or you can come hang out with me.
Yes.
In which case, there could be serious trouble.
There could be serious
But
trouble.
down at the resale store, now you have paid employees and
Yes.
volunteers there as well, right?
There are 4 of us, myself, and then I have 3 part-time paid employees.
Right.
And then the rest are all volunteers.
Mhm.
So and I say this every month, we can't do it without our volunteers.
And
Just
and for people that would think, hey, maybe, you know, going down there and helping do some merchandising or whatever would be a good way to you know, spend some volunteer time. How many hours does a week does your average volunteer put in, or is there a minimum?
We have no minimum, you know, it's volunteering, it's your time. You know what I mean? If you have an hour to spare, or 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever, you know, it's what you have to, you know, offer to us. I have a few volunteers that come 2-3 days a week. And then I have some that, you know, that come 1 day a week.
Right.
You know, it all depends. But we're always taking new volunteers. We always have something to do. And the resale store is a good way if you want to help the animals out, but you can't directly work with them because, I can't work at the shelter, I'll take them all home, you know.
Yeah, or maybe you're allergic to cats.
Or you're allergic, right, but you still want to help out. That's a great alternative.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll put you to work.
Yeah.
And I'll
Never
make you
a doubt in my
have an interesting day.
Never a doubt in my mind. Now, if people want to volunteer at either the shelter or the thrift store, just show up and talk to
We have
people?
applications
Yes,
Yeah.
an
to fill.
application,
Mhm.
and then for the shelter, we have you fill an application out, and then we have a volunteer orientation, and that way you can take a tour of the building. And we're also in the process of trying to develop volunteer training for those that want to do dog walking, so it's more hands-on,
Yes.
and that way everyone's just kind of connected.
And when it comes, I think it'd be kind of interesting too, in that I used to train bloodhounds for search and rescue, and so I don't profess to know a whole lot, but I have worked with training dogs are actually, most often when it comes to that kind of stuff, the dog training the handler, literally. But when it comes to like these behavioral folks that are working with animals that have behavioral problems, I mean, is it possible to get some training along those lines from some of those folks at the same time, if you had an interest?
If they had an interest, I believe they could just speak with some of our behavior staff, and I don't think that should be a problem.
I just think that would be, I mean, because there's bound to be a lot of different little moving parts to that whole equation.
Yes.
Very interesting. So again, hats off for everything that was being done during all of these evacuations. I mean, that had to be all of a sudden, boom, here it comes, and
Yes.
you've got no time to prepare. It's just kind of knee-jerk your way into it. And
We started preparing, I think it was Friday, 4:30. We started getting kennels ready and set up and just getting any space we could,
right.
just prepared, paperwork, all of
People
it.
that step up.
Yeah, we
It's
had
amazing.
volunteers come in and help us. We were there till about midnight taking animals in.
Wow. And it had to be really, kind of heartbreaking at times for people to come in and hey, can you take care of Fido here while we try and figure out what we're going to do, and then they've got to leave their loved pet behind, and it's got to be tough for the people and the pet.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very tough. It's very stressful. And
At least they have a relief. There's so many people who are so worried about where am I going to go that'll take my animal.
Right.
Well, then at least they were relieved knowing that we take
Right.
them in and they're in good hands, so they can go focus on where they need to go.
Amazing, and it's and again the just the public outpouring of concern with donation of cash and of food and stuff like that. So much so that you had more than you needed.
Yes.
And now just to reiterate again, if you need some dog food or some cat food, right now is a real good time to stop down to the Humane Society of Central Arizona, because you have some stuff you just really desperately need to get rid of.
we do, and that way, if anybody needs it, you can come and get it.
Right.
Even if you don't want to deal with anyone, we have it out on tables right now on the west side of our building, and you can just pick it up and go.
Wow.
Yes.
So just go out to the west side of the building there and you'll see a bunch of bags of dog food and
Yes.
cat food and stuff, and make yourself at home. Cool. Again, if you want to find out more about the Humane Society, again, you can just stop down to this. Is there a phone number people can call?
Yes, it's 928-474-5590.
And at the thrift store? You don't want to
I know.
answer the phone.
Well, I know her number. I don't know mine.
I don't call me.
Call myself.
Yeah.
What is my phone number? 928. Hold on a minute.
928 Cat House. All right.
Oh,
The-
6419 is
And
the
then-
last number.
Real quick, can I also just mention for July, we have an event that we'll have going on. It's called Empty the Shelters. That's by the Bissell Pet Foundation. That's through July 7th until the 10th. And we have adoption fees for $25 for cats and dogs.
Wow.
And
So now how does this work? Does this organization come in and say, okay, we'll sponsor a certain percentage of this to try and move more of the inventory out the door, basically?
yes, so that way they can at least sponsor us. So that way the shelter isn't losing any money for the animals, but we can also have a reduced price for anybody that is looking for a companion animal, a cat or a dog. And then that way you guys can come in and adopt them.
Companion cat.
Companion cat, companion dog.
I've had other kinds of cats, but I do love cats. They're good. They're pretty darn smart too.
Yes, they are.
One of the best I ever had. We had it potty trained, so it went out through the doggy door outside and came back in, and we never had a cat box. And that's the kind of cat to have in my book. But anyway, if you want to find out more, though, get on down to the Humane Society of Central Arizona. Again, it's just off of South McLean.
Yes.
And just south of Main Street there, and again the hours on the thrift store are. It's like having a hard time thinking this
It's
morning.
Thursday Eve.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
We're open 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
We take donations from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday.
And you'll see people outside on the east side of the building where you drop stuff off there, and they're sorting through stuff pretty much as soon as you drop it off.
Yes. If we're not out there, we're out there minutes
Right.
after you drop off.
Cool. And again, all of those donations go to a great cause, the Humane Society
Yes.
of Central Arizona.
Yes.
So get on out there and help support them. Thanks to both of you for coming down and being with us.
Thank
Always
you.
a lot of fun to talk with Lucy and Nicole. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you.
All right. And we appreciate you tuning in and listening this morning to Community Spotlight on KRIM. Going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Some tunes coming up from Bob Dylan, Jack Johnson, All American Rejects, Tesla, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
This morning's KRIM